What's up, everybody, and welcome to Mount MoGraph. My name is Matt, and today we will be creating a character rig in Illustrator, bringing it into Photoshop to texture it, and then putting it into After Effects to animate it, and hopefully get something like this. I'll just play it for you. Well, let me actually start from the beginning on that. Alright, so the character itself is not very complicated, and the whole process is also not very complicated. But at the end of this whole summit, you should have a very good understanding of how to go about creating your own animations and using a couple of little tricks and these two cool scripts I found for After Effects that really make this workflow just fly by. So we're going to go ahead and open up Adobe Illustrator, and we are going to create our character. This is actually something you can skip if you just want to create your own character. I'm just going to go and show real quick how I make mine, and also show you how to separate the layers very easily, so it makes animation down the road much quicker. Everyone has their own way to do it, like sequencing layers and other stuff like that, but I just recently learned super easy way to do it. So if you continue watching this video, you will also know. So now that we're in Adobe Illustrator, let's just make a quick character. It doesn't have to be anything too fancy, and colors can really be whatever. This is kind of your guys' chance to make your own character, or if you'd like to, you can just create something similar. There's a million ways you can go about making a character, of course, and yeah, so I mean, this is just going to be a basic character for the sake of saving time, and you can do Shift Command back bracket, and that will also put something at the bottom of a layer. So this is at the very, well, this is, so this is now at the very back of all these layers, even though we only have two right now. So I like to actually just keep these at like with strokes and not a fill, just at the start of this character rigging, just because like if your character kind of looks good with basic stuff and no colors or anything, it'll definitely look a lot better at the end of this whole process. So yeah, just go about making your character real quick. Just draw some rectangles for the arms, rounded rectangles. I use the Pathfinder a lot. Also, my layout might look a little different than yours. This is just something I prefer. So everyone has their workspaces, and yeah. So I don't know what else to say about that. Everyone has their own way of doing stuff. This is not always going to be the best way to do it, but like I said, it works for me, and that's why I thought I would put it up on YouTube, and maybe somebody can learn something else from it. So yeah, just go about and you want it to, you got to think like what your character is going to be doing, especially when you're doing a 2D animation that's not 3D. So that's why I'm kind of layering it where like this is going to be the back arm, so it's at the very back of all these layers. So that's Shift Command back bracket, and that will immediately put whatever layer you have selected the farthest back behind all the layers, which will, once we separate them, you'll see why that is very helpful. So yeah, I mean, you don't have to really be that good at a Illustrator. The tools itself, I think, are super easy to learn. It's probably the easiest Adobe Illustrator, or Adobe Illustrator is probably the easiest Adobe software to learn, I think. It's, it's just vector. So, yeah, I can't guarantee this is going to look great. Once again, I'm just kind of going about and making my character. So feel free to skip ahead if this is just boring the heck out of you. But okay, this guy's gonna have some big Elvis looking hair. And what I like to do with this is, now that we have our stroke, you can actually do fills and stuff. Here, I'll actually Command Z, and I'll show you what I always do. So I use the brush actually a lot for character design. And when you make like a shape, this is like, I'm just using a mouse. I don't have a tablet, like a Wacom drawing tablet or anything. So I'm using my mouse, which isn't always the best way to draw something. And so I kind of make like a basic shape, and then if you go up into your object path and go down to simplify and just click preview, you can kind of see it'll like round stuff out for you, and you can play around with the curve precision and all that, and sometimes it'll make your strokes look a little bit better, which is always good because no one's perfect, and especially when you're using your hand, your mouse, you're not gonna have like as good of quality drawings as if you were using an actual tablet. So sorry this part is dragging out a little bit. We're just going to try to speed this up a little bit. So you can hold Alt, if you didn't know, hold Alt on your keyboard while you're dragging, and you get these double arrows, the black and white arrow, and that's actually going to duplicate your layer. So now I have 2 copies of that, and now we're just going to create legs real quick, and then we'll just jump ahead. So yeah, this guy is looking pretty bad right now, and we're going to add some quick colors to it, and all that, and hopefully he comes together a little bit more. No one wants to see this on their screen for a half hour, which is understandable. I don't want to see this guy for for that long either. All right, so I'm gonna make a shoe real quick. Yep, and so just use the Pathfinder. Like I said, I use it a lot just to cut pieces and just put stuff together. I'm trying to make the shoe, and that looks fine. So use your Pathfinder and join all the shapes. There's the shoe looking thing. I'm actually going to put a white layer, and then we're just going to color this real quick and jump into Photoshop to do the texturing. And just a heads up, this is going to be a 2-part summit. So this first part is just going to go over the character, actually like setting up the character, and the second part will be going over animation inside of Cinema 4, or not Cinema 4D, what the heck am I doing, inside of After Effects. Like this first part's going to go texturing, rigging, setting anchor points, and then the second portion will be the actual animation using the puppet tool and also the parallax movement of the background to kind of create a more dimensional scene for you. So let me just scale this down. You can hold Shift Alt while you're scaling your object. It'll scale proportionally to the center of its anchor point. So that is another little thing I use quite often. I'm actually going to make these a lot smaller. All right, so he's got some shoes, it looks like. Some sweet Nikes. Obviously, they're Nikes. Look at these things. Probably cost like $50. Actually, Nikes cost way more than that, I think. Yeah, so just about there on this character creation part. All right, so let's make a hand. I once again use the brush tool for this, and I'm just going to draw this really crappy looking hand because that's what we like to see. Oh my god, I'm gonna actually make that again. We're not trying to make freaking Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob or anything. Oh my god. All right, so that is pretty exceptional, so that turned out awesome. I'm gonna keep it just because that looks great. So we're gonna go to simplify and just definitely try to make this a little, or it's a lost cause, but we're gonna keep it because that looks pretty awesome. So yeah, if you can create hands that look like this guy's, oh man, you're about to make it as an artist and a designer. Okay, so once again, hold Alt and drag, and now if you right click this corner, it'll bring up some transform properties. So go to transform, reflect, reflect vertically, and this is going to be our other side. Oh man, this guy is awesome looking. Alright, so now that we have our character relatively together, and as you can see, he looks great. This is probably the best thing I've ever made in my life. Sucks that I have to go through this whole summit with this dude. So let's go ahead and just add some colors to him. Yeah, and do whatever you want, really. I'm just going to pick some basic colors for the sake of time. And let's see. Yeah, so just for the arms, try to make the front one like a little bit darker, just to make it kind of stick out. And then for the back arm, we're going to make a little bit lighter than the middle color, just to make it look different and kind of give, like, it's a very subtle thing, but it'll help in the long run. So let's see, for the face, You guys are probably watching this and like, oh my god, I hope I never make something that great, or bad, or I don't know. Yeah, this is not my finest artwork, that's for sure. Um, so, man, these hands, I don't even know what to do with them. Uh, but yeah, so this is just like a quick overview of character animation. So we're not we're not trying to make anything too awesome, obviously. Um, yeah, but it is helpful. I know this is probably not something you would throw a like up for, but if you guys do learn something from any of these summits I've been putting up, just throw a like. Yeah, just like the video. That lets me kind of know I'm doing something right. It's good to know that somebody found something useful in one of my videos. Um, yeah, I mean, I kind of like doing this now. At first, I was really, really bad, and no, obviously, I'm still pretty bad at this. So thanks for sticking with me. Hopefully, I get a little bit better down the road, and I mean, yeah, we'll just have to see though. Who knows? This could only go downhill from here, which is really that's why I do this every day. I like to wake up knowing I could do worse. And that's what just gets me out of the bed. I don't even know what I'm saying right now. So anyway, we have a really crappy character, and at this point, let's just remove our stroke and fingers crossed that it doesn't turn out too bad. All right, so this dude looks pretty exceptional. I hope yours doesn't look like this because this is pretty trashy. Um, but yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go and separate our layers real quick. So how you're gonna do this is your layer panel is gonna be how we're going to go about separating all these layers in a really quick and easy way. Your panel might be somewhere else. Mine is. Oh crap! I gotta just line this up. That wasn't okay. So anyway, my panel's over here. I just set it up like that because that's how I like my workspace. And just create a whole bunch of layers by clicking the new layer button right down at the bottom. This one right here. So yeah, just create probably too many for what we need. And now what we're going to do is just go about and select the layers that we would like to be on separate layers for our animation, which I'll explain as we go. So first select your hair, and as you can see on our layer, there's nothing selected here. As soon as we select something, we get a little blue square that corresponds to our highlighting color. And likewise, if you select something else, you'll still have the square. So now that we have all these layers, we're going to the top layer is going to be the frontmost layer, so the one closest to the viewer. And then this layer 1 or layer 2 is going to be the backmost one. So that's going to be behind all the layers on top of it, which I'm sure you guys understand. So anyway, grab your square. You're actually going to click it and drag it up to the top layer. And as you can see, our layer selection color changed color to orange now. And now if I was to toggle the visibility on this and click the eye tool, our hair disappears, but nothing else does. So the way that I always separate layers is just by doing the square trick and just clicking that and dragging stuff. It makes it, this is so much quicker than some people go right click, go up here and go down to release layers to sequence and then try to, I don't know. Some people do it and it takes so much longer than what it needs to. So yeah, just make sure you're naming your layers. This could obviously get way crazy depending on how if you're making a dragon or something. I don't know if you're making a dragon, if that's what you guys like to make. Whatever you're ending up making, you could have a lot more layers than this. There could be a lot more things you're trying to animate. For what? Oh, this is actually the front arm. Yeah, but for today's summit, we're just going to be making a very simple animation that won't take very much time, and it will look kind of cool at the end. The character won't. Obviously, my character won't. I hope your guys looks awesome. And if you wanna, I don't know, can you guys share videos on here? I don't know, but if you make something cool from this summit, maybe shoot me a link at the video. I'd love to take a look at it and see what you guys are making. I know it's probably gonna look way better than mine, so that's cool. Call this pants. Yeah, but as you can see, this, I'm talking and all that, and this doesn't look great, but it's pretty quick, and that's what we are all about here at Mount MoGraph, making stuff real quick, making it look all right, and getting that paycheck. No, so this is the back arm, not really. All right, and then just select your legs. Oh, and also for the legs, make sure that one of the colors is like a little bit lighter than the other, and that is going to be the back leg. So it doesn't have to be a big difference, but enough where you can kind of tell that there's some dimension to it, I guess. So this is going to be the back leg, and then this is going to be the front leg. And there we go. Our character is now rigged and ready to be put into Photoshop, and we're going to add some textures. So basically, if you're this far in the video, you can just probably skip ahead to when we jump into After Effects and actually set our anchor points. But yeah, I just like to, in Photoshop, throw some textures on here and make it a little bit more interesting than this like 2D flat artwork. Okay, so yeah, that's just a heads up. So go to File and go down to, let's see, Export. And on your export settings, we're going to select, where is this guy? Or maybe it's under Save As. Okay, no, actually it is under Export. You can actually export your file as a Photoshop file, which is great because when we take it into Photoshop, it'll automatically separate into layers, which is exactly what, oh, not a Targa. Who's ever even used a Targa? Which is great because, like, you know, separating it into layers is Photoshop and it saves us another step. So I'm going to call this character rigging. All right, so export it. Now this is the part your screen probably pops up with RGB and you don't get this right layers option. So just go up, click CMYK. Also make sure your resolution is set to high, 300 ppi, and click right layers. And that's what we're going to want. And that's going to, instead of making it all one layer, going to keep these layers separate. So click OK. Writing Photoshop file. Boom, done. Okay. So now open up your Photoshop. And all you're going to do, this is on my desktop. Look at this guy. He is awesome. Okay, so it's on your desktop. What I'm going to do is just drag my file into Photoshop and it should open. There we go. There is our character. And he's in Photoshop, and as you can see, it's all separated in layers. And that worked out great. You know, so let's go ahead and throw our here, let me make this canvas size. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. Just so we have some room to work. I didn't want him so cramped. This guy's got style. He needs space. All right, so let's see. You can add whatever textures you want on here. I typically will use like a paper texture or something. You know, that always looks good. How can you go wrong with a paper texture? It's on everything. So you can probably go online. I'll also throw a link to, or I'll link up the paper texture I'm going to end up using for this. And I'll just throw it up online, but we'll throw it up online. Oh my gosh. No, I'm not sick, but I'm going to put it up online. I'll link it online. So just drag your texture into Photoshop, scale it up so it covers your whole character. And this is actually like it's almost annoying, the steps you have to do to make this effect. But okay, so I just promise it's going to look a lot better at the end of the day if you actually go through these steps. So what you're going to do is count how many layers. First, we're going to set our vintage paper layer down to like whatever looks good. But as you can see, if we zoom in, like he's got some style. He's got some crap on his face, but we'll just move it a little bit. But yeah, so now he's got some texture. I don't know, it looks a little bit better. And that's what we want to do. So I'll just see if there's a better setting for this. No, overlay is bad. Maybe multiply. Okay, we're going to keep it normal. So normal, set your opacity to whatever looks good to you. I mean, you can like make it more intense if you're really looking for that paper crap look. Yeah, so like 30-ish looked good for me, 33. And we're going to do on our keyboard Command J. So press that a whole bunch of times, and our layers are going to be getting darker, but just that's because we have more layers all with opacity on them. So it just eventually equals 100, and that's why it's harder to see the layers below. So sorry, that was a long explanation. All right, so here's the easy part that is going to be very handy for us. So basically put your paper layers one above each of your corresponding body parts that you're going to want to also texture. So I think I created enough vintage paper layers for this effect. Oh, looks like I need one more. So basically in your panel, it should go every other is a paper layer. So what you're going to do now is select your paper layer, and on the layer that's beneath it, so like for this one, we're going to be adding texture to our hair layer. So you're going to be holding command and click your little picture here, your thumbnail, and it's going to automatically create an outline of that layer, and we're just going to go and create a mask. So add layer mask, click this button right here, and as you can see, it's created a mask of our paper that is now onto our hair, which is great because I mean now it's like separate. Like, so the rest of him doesn't have texture, but his hair is looking fine. Yeah, it's a subtle effect, but if you do this, if you spend some time adding textures and layers to stuff, your artwork will just look way better, I promise. So right click, and this is something that is going to make our After Effects run a little bit faster when we actually take these layers and put it into After Effects. If we do not have these converted to Smart Object, so you're going to want to select your layers, right click, convert to Smart Object. If you don't have those set like that, it's going to run a lot slower. So I recommend setting those to Smart Object so it's one layer. So just set that as hair, and we're going to go and repeat the step that we just went through 8 times. How exciting is that? So just select your hair layer or your paper layer, select the layer beneath it, press Command on your keyboard, get your highlight, create a mask, select those 2 things, right click, convert to Smart Object, and you know, like, this starts to go pretty quick if you do this. If you do this enough, it goes really quick. Yeah, but so this is just going to keep those textures on the layers. If we had just done the one texture over this whole piece of artwork, it wouldn't have looked good in After Effects because it wouldn't change with like when we move the arm, the texture is going to stay attached to the arm this way. So that's what we're going to definitely want to do. This is going to be front arm. Sorry, I'm talking too much and doing not enough work. All right. Yeah, so just go about creating your smart objects. This is body, and we're just about there. We'll be in After Effects in no time. And in After Effects, I'm going to throw a link in the bottom of our video that is going to show links to these 2 really helpful After Effects scripts that are free online if you're cheap, because it's a name your price kind of thing. But I mean, you can get them for $0. You can get them for $2.99. You should throw the people who made them, the developers, a little bit of money, just because, you know, at the end of the day, they are saving you quite a bit of time. And I'll show you exactly what they are if you stay tuned for part 2, which will probably be up later today. I'll probably take a little lunch break in here, you know. Let's see. Back arm. Okay. Man, I was just so nervous. I was like, did I just forget to record this video? Thought I was just talking to myself, and I was like, I'm going to have to redo this. So glad that didn't happen. So, let's see. Convert to Smart Object. This is going to be front leg. And now we're on our last one. You know, I probably could have sped this up. Why not? Or why? I don't know. Yeah, so let's see. That is our last layer to do. We're going to convert to Smart Object. Back leg. Okay, so there it is. There is our character. He's got texture on him. And we're going to actually also add a couple quick little effects just to these layers to kind of give them a little pop in our... Oopsie, why did I lock that one? In After Effects, we want it to look a little bit more dynamic than these still kind of flat layers. So we're going to go to FX and go to Inner Glow. And let's see. We're going to select a darker color and turn the size up. Yeah, so once again, this is a subtle effect. If I turn it off, you know, it's just kind of like lighter colors around his chin. It's very subtle, and at the end of the day, you don't have to do it. I like to, just because it makes your stuff look a little bit better. All the time you spend adding those little things you think no one's going to see are going to make your end animation look a lot better, like I promise. Alright, so I'm also going to add a drop shadow, turn the opacity way down, and as you can see, it just kind of adds something, gives it a little bit more dimension. So press OK, and now all we're going to have to do is right click and go to copy layer style, paste layer style, and just paste this layer style onto all of your other layers to save you time so you don't have to go and redo all the work we just did adding the inner glow and the drop shadow to that first layer. So we're just going to paste layer style, and paste layer style. And one more time for good measure, we are going to paste layer style. So there it is. He is looking pretty great. So you got the dimension of his shoulder, kind of makes it look like you made this out of paper, right? Like, I mean, I think so. It kind of looks like you spent time cutting out cardboard paper, and we're going to animate this. So yeah, that is how you go about doing it. So just save your Photoshop file, Command S on your keyboard. And this is Alfred, by the way. So this isn't like my friend Alfred. This is an application called Alfred, which just like you can type in what app you want and press enter, and it just opens. So that keeps your dot clean. You don't have to spend time going through menus. All you have to do is open it up, and boom, you got and you type in what you want, and then there it is for you. So I'm going to go to a standard workspace, and let's see. Yeah, I'm just going to, oopsie. All right, so we got After Effects open. Command I on your keyboard, and we are going to open up our character rigging PSD, and make sure this is a very important step. So once you have your Photoshop file selected that we just worked on, as you can see, our dimension is giant, which is good because now we can scale it down and it'll still look good. So go to Import As and go to Composition. This is very, very important. Otherwise, you're going to once again compress all your stuff onto one layer. So I'm going to say Open. And let's see. So now we're going to get our character rigging composition and a character rigging layers folder, which if I expand, oh crap, did this come out wrong? Okay, let's see. All right, I did do something wrong. Let me see. Mode. It's probably under. Yup. All right, so don't rasterize. Don't merge. Okay, so one of the things is After Effects is not going to work in CMYK, which is a print format. So you're going to want to definitely go to Image, Mode. This is also in Photoshop again. Image, Mode, set it to RGB, and this should have fixed our problem. So go back into After Effects. We're just going to delete these layers. Delete. Command I. And this is good practice. This is kind of like troubleshooting, and hopefully this works. Otherwise, I'm gonna feel like an idiot. So yeah, merge layer styles, editable layer styles we want, composition, and okay. So did this work? It did indeed. We just had to switch it to RGB. If you guys encounter that problem, man, I'm actually kind of glad that that happens. Sometimes my stuff is set up like as default, maybe different from you guys. So yeah, that was actually great. Hopefully no one found that too annoying. But now if I double click this, that's going to open our composition, and it is already separated in layers for us. Like all the layers we had in Photoshop with our layer styles and everything is going to be exactly how we had it. So, I have this goofy hands, Mr. Goofy hands, Mr. Goofy crappy hair, in After Effects. And so we went through 3 Adobe programs to get this. And really, it shouldn't take you guys very long to get this far if you're not talking into a mic and telling stupid stories and dumb jokes like I am. You can get this really quick, and this is cool. So now what we're going to want to do is we're going to be using our pan behind tool to set our anchor points to the corresponding locations of where we want stuff to move, and then we're going to use this I think it's called Pick Quick. I think they're called Pick Quick tools, and you're just going to drag it, and we're going to parent objects, and that's going to actually create our rig. And then in part 2, after I eat lunch, we're going to actually animate this character. Okay, so on your hair layer, any of the layers you select, you can't tell anything is happening because our anchor point for all the layers is in the center of our composition. So we're going to want to move this using our pan behind tool, which is this tool right up here, and which I'm going to be bringing up using Y on the keyboard as our shortcut. And we're just going to be positioning the anchor points to where we want our objects to kind of move, tilt, bend, whatever. Okay, press Y on your keyboard to bring up your pan behind tool, and you can tell by the 4 arrows in a square that we get by our mouse. So for our hair layer, we're going to drag our anchor point to right above his forehead, and if this, we will be able to kind of tilt it back and forth if we want. For his head, set it kind of by his neck, so it's going to wobble back and forth. If this was where he's going to rotate, he'll be able to tilt his head forward, tilt his head back. For his front arm, set that up at his shoulder. It's a good way to kind of think of these as like pins, like you're pinning the objects to the layers beneath them. So the body, I like to set the body just right in the middle. For the pants, we're going to set this right up top. We're actually not going to be animating the pants. That was just kind of like an extra layer, actually. So the back arm, set that. Front leg, that is this one. And then our back leg. Okay. So as you can see now, when I click over my layers, the anchor point is going to jump around corresponding to where it is on our character. So now what we're going to do is use our pick quick. I think that's what it's called, man. I should look it up, and I should just double check. But this little twirl icon, if you click and hold, you're able to drag out this black line. Like, how cool is that? You know, you could spend hours doing this and not even doing any work. It's my problem. Okay, so select your hair layer, select your pick quick item, and we're going to select our hair, and we're going to parent it to our head. So all you're going to have to do is drag your pick quick line to your head, and then it's going to parent that object. As you can see, we get number 2 head, which corresponds to our number 2 head layer, and that means that if I was to move, I pressed R on my keyboard to bring up rotation. If I move my head, my hair stays with it, but if I move my hair, my head does not move. That's pretty cool. What if we just kept it like this for the rest of the summit? You know, and someone walked in, sees you learning this, and it's like, what the hell are you trying to learn? This guy looks so special. So yeah, I'm gonna zero these out. There we go. So we have our still kind of crappy looking animation, which is awesome, and we're gonna just continue parenting our objects to other objects to create our rig, and that will be the end of part 1, and we'll jump into part 2 right after lunch, I guess. So you guys should take a lunch break too. So now we're going to take our head object and parent that to the body, take our front arm object, parent that to the body, take our pants object, parent that to the body, our back arm, we're going to parent that to the body. As you can see, this starts to make a lot of sense. Take the front leg, we're going to switch it up and parent that to the pants, and take the back leg and parent that to the pants. So you should have something very similar to this layout. Right click, go to new, and set a null object, and we're going to call this the scaler. And this is, I don't know if this is the right way to do it. This is what I've always done. And just parent your body object, which everything else is parented to the scaler. Because here's something for down the road. If we were to try to scale our animation and we just were to scale it down, as you can see, I'll zoom in. What the heck is going on? Everything scales differently because it's all different proportions. So that is a giant problem. You know, this guy looks kind of cool. He's got some character, but we don't want that. He looks worse than looks worse than what I made. However, if we've parented our body object, which everything else is parented to a null scaler, and we were to scale down our scaler, it scales proportionally. So that is the helpful hint for the day. And that is going to be the end of Summit 4 Character Rigging Part 1. After lunch, we are going to go and create a walk cycle animation, parallax movement, and I'm going to show you how to create an awesome animation with a crappy character. So stay tuned for Mount Mograph and get your learn on. All right, see you guys.